So I've been asking everyone this question. With all the data targeting, the MMMs, the attribution platforms we have, all the consumer insights, the fact we've been doing this for years, the vast ad tech ecosystem. Today, do you think we're better marketers than we were in the past?
No, I absolutely think that we are worse marketers. We've been confused, misled, misguided. Look, I mean, I studied maths and economics enough. I didn't finish it, but I studied it enough to understand that you build a model and the model has a margin of error. And we have way too often, we have the people in our businesses and the consultants who present these pieces of measurement which says it's definitely 3.57. And it's not 3.57. There was a 20% margin in it. Or 5 of the 7 things they're telling you were statistically not relevant enough to put on a slide. Now, if that was my business, I'd still put them on the slide and try and sell it, admittedly. So I respect what they're doing. But no, we are not better. We've lost our eyes.
So can you see the challenge in the industry where if I was talking to CFOs and, you know, the board level that you have to justify your spend to, they want absolutes. But in the effectiveness work that I'm familiar with, that I know that you adhere yourself to, it uses words like likeliness, more chance of.
Yes.
So this is the juxtaposition the industry's in. It wants hard data for something that doesn't supply hard data. So what are you doing about that, bridging those two worlds?
So I think the industry wants hard data from us, or the boards want hard data from us because they don't believe us. So in finance and acquisitions, they also have models, and they also present the models, but they're quite honest. This amazing business that we're looking at looks like it might turn this much revenue or that much revenue over roughly this to that period. These are the factors I considered. This is what we did. We come along and we go, you know, oh, this is absolutely amazing. Part of this is way too complicated and creative for any of you to ever understand. And they say, well, in that case, you've really got to show me some hard numbers. And we go panic, we find the hard numbers. I just think we need to have the confidence to be able to go, this is where I'm dealing, this is my knowns, these are my unknowns, and respect the people that we're talking to. That in my case, every single person I speak to makes an investment decision, is able to take that into account.
So your language there is really interesting because you said investment. And I think what's been lost at senior levels is that marketing is viewed as a cost, not an investment. What are you doing specifically to ensure that your budgets are being seen as an investment? Because an investment also inherently has a risk factor into it. See, the word is different, isn't it? So what are you doing in order to translate that to the boardroom?
So we actually have 2 ways of looking at it. So I would sell a expense as an advertising media piece that's going to return money this month. So I don't want to use the words short term, but people in the UK would say short term. But things that we are going to do right now, which are going to affect our immediate horizon, that is an expense, and that's how businesses operate. Things we're going to put down in place right now, which are going to affect future. So for example, with us, we operate lotteries. We have new games that no one's ever heard of, and we invest in them knowing that it's not going to happen for a couple of months, if not 3 years. That's investment.
So what you're splitting the performance bucket. I know you hate that term, but like what you're saying is that the short-term tactical stuff is actually cost. And then for the long-term stuff, you're considering as investment. That's how you're putting it in 2 buckets.
So to bring it back to finance, it's cost of goods sold. Frankly, that's the kind of mentality it is. It's not counted as that, but it's the cost of goods sold.
Is that translating well? Doing it that way?
Yes,
it is.
Absolutely. So I want you to do something, or I want us to invest this amount of money. I want to take $100 million, and we're going to invest $75 million of it, which we're not going to see too much return of it for the next 3 to 5 years. I treat that as an investment with a curve and a margin of error, I promise, so that we can see when you will see that investment come back. The rest of it, for example, we know people are reaching for the yogurt counter. We know they're going for the yogurts. We just want to get slightly more of them to reach for our yogurt by giving it off at 25% off the price. And we're going to spend a certain amount of what we would call retail media doing that. No, that's up. I'm not trying to tell you that that's an investment, because that isn't an investment.
So one of the things that I'm seeing here at Cannes, and I've seen some reporting from it, I think it was Lara Riley said it, Cannes is now not the event of creativity, marketing's changed, all this stuff. Fundamentally, I'm against that, because I don't think marketing has changed. I think we've changed the industry. But do you agree with this narrative that it's like, it's not about the creativity? I think even Sorrel just said it on your panel, it's about data and it's about the media. Do you buy into that?
I believe that media has always been, or marketing has been, way more driven by media than people would have admitted.
Yeah.
I
Because of the margins and the ability to make money from that, or
No, because the impact and the effect that the media does on the work.
yeah,
There is absolutely no doubt that there are brilliant and amazing creative work being done by fantastic agencies, and I'm not suggesting they're not important, less important, any less wonderful than they are. But for many years in the West, we have underestimated the power that the media does within the marketing mix.
now you're global, and you mentioned the West there. Yeah, are you doing much work in the US at the moment?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
Where are you seeing the best sort of effectiveness work with US, rest of the world?
So I'm going to disagree with the conventional thought within the M25. I do not believe that we have the best effectiveness work done in the UK.
In the UK, okay. Where do you see the best work then?
So there is a really, really good point that a really great guy once raised on LinkedIn about the difference between the TV market in the UK versus in the US.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world. So there is that practicality. There's another country, Austria, which is really, newspapers are really big.
Massive.
You wouldn't think an advanced country like Austria, and
They
they've all
read
got their
newspapers,
phones.
don't they?
read
They still
newspapers.
buy them. It's down
Absolutely.
very minimally. Yeah.
So as a media person, you're like, well,
Yeah.
you're kind of Western Europe, definitely Central at least. You're not Eastern Europe, so what are you doing with the newspapers?
Yeah.
So there are differences, absolutely. And I respect and I congratulate the industry proposers or the industry bodies in the UK who have put a lot of effort into saving this beautiful legacy broadcast TV industry that we have, which we all love.
Yeah.
But too often, we are all, and I say me as a client, too often we're sold reports by industry bodies whose sole existence is to promote the industry that they're trying to tell you came out good in the report.
Yeah, but I
And
mean,
I
you
think
get
we've
those
got
same
too far.
but you get those same reports off the platforms and all the media companies, and like the
We do.
TV community and radio community need to collaborate and work together in order to even finance those. So you can't
Yeah.
blame them for doing that.
Oh, no. I absolutely love
And
them.
most of them are independently put together.
They're independently put together, and if I may say, I'm one of not a hell of a lot of people who is able to actually read it and see what is one thing and what is another thing and take it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I think we as a group and as an industry, we jump onto these small pieces of it and say, right, well, that's it. Fantastic. So last week, it was print is the most effective medium because it was the top right-hand blob on a chart. And the next week, we've got a fantastic presentation where, no, it's actually TV. And then to your point, then Google comes in 3 weeks later and says, well, it's actually, whatever it is, YouTube.
Yeah.
It's our job is to figure that out. I just think, honestly, to your question, we in the UK aren't nearly as effective. And I say that because the return on the media investments that we get in the US and in my previous companies that we got in China were more significant in other areas.
Okay, well, there are any other factors at play rather than just the media, the cost of the media, for example? Because that one can obviously grossly inflate or deflate the ROI factor.
Of course, absolutely.
Maybe that was at play.
There's a lot of things at play. There's always
Yeah.
many things at play.
I'll say, here's a question for you then. If you were a TV company and you were working there, you're a CRO for it, what would you do in order to convince people like yourself to stop taking money out of television and putting it into social video and other lower ROI inventory sources? What would you do?
Quite a job interview question.
One or two of the jobs might be up. You never know. They seem to be on a cycle at the moment.
Yeah, so I think it's a really, really exciting thing to be able to sell. Because if it was 40, 50 years of us having mobile phones and newspapers and radios and whatever, and watching stuff on our iPads, and I came to you and I said, I've got this really fantastic concept. I've got 3 of the biggest content producers, and we've got some of the technology companies who stick this massive iPad in everybody's lounge, and we're going to have central viewing opportunities where they can all watch, I don't know, whatever the show is at the same time. You'd say that's a really brilliant opportunity. I think that's really, really fantastic. And it is great. It is in every single home. There is no doubting that. Kids watch it, adults watch it. They don't watch it quite the way they used to.
No.
And I think we need to obsess less about decline and more just about the core value of what it really is.
Agree, yeah. Be more positive and be more confident about the product.
More positive and less finger pointing. So I know everybody got a bit of a battering from all the platforms for about 10 years where they got access to the boards.
Afternoon, everyone.
But I think
Hello.
I have something to sell anyway.
It's a great point to end on. Ross,
hello,
thank you for
hello.
your
Do you
time,
take a
mate.
seat?
Awesome.
Yeah.